So welcome back. We are going to look at another application of network biology wherein we are going to look at disease networks and modules. We've already looked at various kinds of networks, and here let's look at how these networks are involved in disease. So there are very few diseases that are caused by mutations in a single gene. This was one of the big fallouts of the genome sequencing project, human genome sequencing project, wherein we found that there are some genes that are very directly associated with a disease, but you see that there are many diseases involve the dysfunction of a large number of proteins or genes, or essentially a network dysfunction. And most diseases are essentially a consequence of a complex interplay between various networks within the body, and which are in various cells and tissues and so on. And a disease is typically a consequence of dysfunction in these networks ultimately, right. So you have a complex protein-protein interaction, metabolic, regulatory network in the body, and something goes wrong in this, right. So some module fails here, some protein or a group of proteins fail and causing a big cascade which leads to a complex disease. And diseases also cannot easily be studied in isolation, as they can be highly interconnected. And you'll see, lots of diseases, you see always here, right, that somebody who has diabetes also has cardiovascular complications and so on. So a lot of diseases are very commonly connected, and you see that even at this network level. And like diabetes and obesity are known to be comorbid, and for example patients that are diagnosed with one disease are often diagnosed with another as well. And this is the diseasome that Barabasi and Vidal and co-workers first developed. And what did they do? They represented the disease network as a bipartite graph where you have two sets of nodes. So recall what a bipartite graph is. A bipartite graph is a graph which can be colored in just two colors such that no two adjacent nodes have the same color. Or you can think of it as two shapes. You have circles and rectangles, right, and as you see on the screen here. So all circles plug into rectangles and all rectangles connect to circles. There are no connections between the circles themselves or the rectangles themselves, but remember we can always do projections. I would like you to recall this from previous lectures, and we will also look at it again today. So what is the bipartite graph here? There are two sets of nodes corresponding to diseases or genetic disorders and the underlying disease genes. And being a bipartite graph, the edges connect only diseases to genes. Diseases are the circles that you see here and genes are the rectangles. So there are connections between the circles and the rectangles, or diseases and the genes, and there are no edges between the diseases themselves or the genes themselves. The network, which they called the diseasome, contained about 1300 different genetic disorders and close to 1800 disease genes. So it's a pretty large network with nearly 3000 plus nodes. And this figure shows a subset of the network, and what do you have? As I said, the circles and rectangles represent different types of nodes, and edges connect a disorder. For example, BRCA1 is involved in a bunch of cancers, right. So it is, so whatever diseases, meaning if mutations in BRCA1 are known to lead to this disorder, you have an edge, right. So we can trace some of these edges. BRCA1 is most definitely connected to breast cancer. It's a famous gene that some of you may have heard about. You see all the connections between, and you can see this is a many to many connection. So there are many genes that are involved in the same disease, and in multiple diseases as well. So it's quite complex. And there also the disease nodes are colored based on the class to which the disorder itself belongs and so on. Okay. And you see that the size of the node is proportional to the number of genes participating in the disorder. So you see that there are some disorders where there are only a few genes that are known to participate, and remember this is a caveat, this is what is known so far. It's quite possible there are many more genes that are involved, and if you did this picture, like this is already 15 years old, so if you did this picture today, you might see that our knowledge has greatly enhanced, but maybe for all you know the relative sizing still remains. We've identified a far more number of genes that are now participating in breast cancer, and well, maybe even in Fanconi anemia and so on, but you do see that, you know, the number of genes that are affecting all of these diseases has gone up, but maybe the ratio still remains, right. So because, and that there is also a bias in terms of the number of studies that are looking at each of these different disorders and so on. And what you can now do is you can make some very interesting projected networks. So recall, how do you project a bipartite graph? So you remember the concept of a bipartite graph. So you can have a network like this, where you have A, B, C, P, Q, R. So there is no connection between P and Q or P and R and so on, but you see that they are actually connected in different ways, right. So in this case, if you assume that the capital A, B, C are genes and small p, q, r are the disorders, A and B influence P, right, and B and C influence R, right, and you can see that P and Q are potentially connected because they are influenced by the same gene. So there is some similarity between these two genes, right, and similarly Q and R are connected because they are influenced by the same gene, and P and R are connected because they are influenced by the same gene. So in fact, you would see that this is a projection where the nodes are highly connected, right. So all nodes are connected to each other because they share at least one gene in common in terms of what influences. So this is a projection of the graph. So how do you make this projection? You basically look at nodes that are 2 hops from each other in the original graph, in the original bipartite graph. So you look at nodes that are 2 hops from each other and you connect them by an edge, and in this example that we are seeing, you will see that all nodes are connected to each other. Similarly, right, because A and B share a disease, A and C share a disease, and B and C also share a disease. You can recall that we talked about this when we looked at these co-stardom networks or co-authorship networks and so on, right. So you have 2 authors that wrote a paper, right. So you connect them by an edge in you connect them to the paper in a bipartite graph, but then you put an edge between them in the projection. The projection will contain only the authors and not the papers. So very simple, very similar concept that we use here as well. So now let's look at the human disease network. So what is the human disease network? This is one kind of projection, and this is of course the diseasome, and what you see on the right is the disease gene network. So what do you see here? You have the diseasome on the one hand. You remember this. This is what we looked at in the previous slide, and we explained the legend using these points here. And now you have this diseasome, and what you see on the left and right are 2 different projections. On the one hand, you connect diseases that have similar genes or that share genes which are causing it in some sense. So prostate and lymphoma are connected to each other because they share genes such as BRCA, and you see that some of these are thick because you have lot more edges connecting these 2 diseases compared to other diseases, right. So you can really overlay a lot of information on these kinds of graphs. And here again you see that there is a strong correlation between a few genes like this, BRCA1 and KRAS and TP53 and CDH1 and so on. And how do you generate this network? You again look at genes that are 2 hops. So AR, prostate cancer, BRCA2. So you will find a link between AR and BRCA2 in this projection. So this is projection 1 and projection 2. You can obviously generate 2 different kinds of projections. You basically just look at this network based on hops, or you just look at this network based on hops. So, this is this network and this is this network. So, these projections help us ask and answer very interesting questions about what genes are co-involved, what diseases are comorbid, all these kinds of interesting questions we can answer using this kind of methodology. And this is a very comprehensive human disease network from the same paper, where you can see all kinds of complexities that are very well captured here. Right? So, you have various kinds of diseases and they are connected to other diseases. You can look at comorbidity, you can look at a cluster of diseases and so on, and we will also talk about disease modules and how they can be identified from protein interactions. That will be in a future class.